And I'm keeping it all for me, myself, and I. Ultron!
Scream and your entire staff dies.
The Jurassic franchise really has come a long way with creature diversity. The first two movies mainly showed off the most popular dinosaurs at the time, being the T-Rex and Velociraptors, and in the third movie they started to expand a bit, adding things like the Spinosaurus and Ceratosaurus. I mean, we now have prehistoric amphibians, mammals, and a wider diversity of pterosaurs with the Jurassic World films. However, one group that always seems to be left in the dust is the aquatic lifeforms. If you were born between the year 2000 and 2005, I'm sure that you played Jurassic Park Builder, Jurassic World the game, without the complexity basically. You had entire parks of not just dinosaurs but Arctic sectors, and my favorite, the underwater park, which showed us a myriad of different marine animals. In all the films, however, we haven't really gotten such diversity. I mean, in the newest film, we did see a dead Dunkleosteus and the jaws of a megalodon, but that's basically about it. The main and obviously most popular marine animal is the Mosasaurus. Unlike its real life counterpart, Ingens has osteoderms and is the size of a mini kaiju. Well, at least one of them is, because there is not one, not two, but three different mosasaurs shown to us throughout this trilogy, from whale-sized Goliaths that hunt with actual dinosaurs, all the way to suicide monsters that were deemed so dangerous that Ingen had to hide it from even other scientists working on the park. It's been a while since I've done one of these, but it's back. And in this one we're going to be looking at the three mosasaurs known to us at the moment in the franchise. Speaking of, what type of content would you guys like to see more of? I had a discussion in the Discord and a lot said they wanted to see more survival scenarios. Others wanted hypothetical fights, and some wanted more horror content, so there's a lot to choose from. If you want to pitch your own, then join the Discord and share your topic. Who knows, maybe it could make it on the channel like some others, but with this out of the way, let's finally get into the video. 2025 was a good year for dinosaur enthusiasts. We got Primitive War, the final season of Camp Cretaceous is coming out soon, and Rebirth, well, is iffy. I'd give it a 6 out of 10, but there was a lot of stuff that didn't make sense and some excuses the director made as to why certain events didn't even happen, which was even more nonsense. Still, we got some pretty cool dinosaurs, more accurate Spinosaurus, the largest T-Rex of the trilogy, and the Mosasaurus. But Mosasaurus isn't a dinosaur extra stuff. Hey, don't argue with me. The dinosaur expert in the movie called the Mosasaurus a dinosaur, and he's got a degree, so you and I have no say in the matter. In all seriousness, this was one of my nitpicks with the movie, but yes, the franchise's most loved marine reptile made a significant comeback, and it's as massive as ever. They did make some significant tweaks on this one compared to the first one, seeing that most might overlook. The additional fin on top of the tail like the real counterpart, even though it should be a bit bigger, and counter shading, like what you see in a lot of marine predators today. Light at the bottom to match the sky, and darker shades at the top to blend into the deep. But some things didn't change. The forked tongue was still absent, its outrageous speed for something that large, and of course the biggest thing, well, its size. It still dwarfs any Mosasaurus species in the fossil record, although it has something the first movies didn't. The striations you see underneath it are commonly seen in baleen whales, which use this to swallow large amounts of food when feeding. I don't see why the Mosasaur would need this, but hey, I kinda like it. When it comes to size, I'd say anywhere between 120 to 140 feet long, and upwards of 90 tons. Based on everything we've seen, even in the shots which makes it look much bigger than this, it seems to be a bit smaller than the minions if we compare that version, but hey, I could be very wrong. As most of us know, this island left behind all the dinosaurs that were deemed too dangerous or too chopped as a park attraction, and I agree, Dolores is not that cute, Ember is more adorable, fight me. When it comes to the specific time this animal was made, it's not explicitly known, most think just after Fallen Kingdom and before the minions, so between 2020 and 2022. Not too sure, but this could be possible, given how fast the Mosasaurus can grow. After the events of Jurassic World, the Mosasaurus gained at least 40% extra mass while being trapped in the lagoon for a few months without food, after eating the Indominus. And given how chaotic many of the abominations on St. Hubert are, it wouldn't be that surprising if Rebirth's version grew even faster. Aside from its fast growth rate and size, the most popular thing about this animal is its relationship with Acid 87's cousins. The Spinosaurus and Mosasaurus have some mutual relationship that I honestly never thought would happen. The Spinosaurus group seems to bring prey towards the Mosasaurus, well, large prey, and the Mosa finishes the job and the Spinosaurus could feed later. We do see things like this in nature occasionally. Sometimes different predators will work together to get prey. For example, jackals sometimes lead badgers into holes where they couldn't normally reach, to flush out smaller animals, and if any gets past the badger, then the coyote could benefit. Even in the ocean, certain marine species will work together on occasion during large feeding balls, which is basically large shoals of mainly sardine or mackerel I think. many different predators will hunt in the same area without any issue, and some actually help each other, or at least one scavenges off the other's success. Usually the bigger predator is always the brawn, while the smaller one acts as a scout or leads prey towards the larger partner. But things like this take generation after generation to develop usually, so I'm not sure how these animals became partners. I mean, the Spinosaurus are entirely built for life in the water since they have webbing between their feet and can't seem to walk bipedally, but still, the only way I think this happened was maybe after everything was set loose, the Spinos may have been chasing something in the open ocean they couldn't bring down, and the Mosasaurus later came in and brought it down. And after some time of tolerating each other's presence, they soon understood their roles, because it isn't just a tolerance thing, they actually have a symbiotic relationship, since the Mosa could easily take down any Spinosaurus for food if it wants to. Still, aside from whales, I don't see how this partnership could benefit both, but let me know how you think they ended up being, buddies. Taking a step back from 2025, we have the first Mosasaurus ever shown to us. This was even before Jurassic World. Now this one could be controversial since the entire game is seen as soft canon at best, since some of the events add up to the current or at least last film's timeline, while others are strictly for the game. I'm sure you've guessed it by now, Jurassic Park game was something I sadly never got to play as a kid. I would watch entire playthroughs of the story over and over though. This game is supposed to take place during the events of 1993, during the first movie I think, but again, a lot of the things that happened in the playthrough don't in the movie. The most terrifying animal in my opinion resides in this game. The Troodon that lays eggs inside of you while you're alive, that is. And the Jurassaurus, which is pretty big, but of course the reason this game is on the list today is the marine facility. Speaking of, I found out a few days ago that Jurassic Park 3 was supposed to feature a marine facility, but it got scrapped. Made me low-key sad, but I guess it makes sense seeing that the movie would be a bit too long. In Jurassic Park the game, Dr. Sorkin was the pet of scientists, seeing the protocols as cruel to some of the animals, which led to the death of many people. One example is the Troodon. Despite Hammond's instruction to destroy them, she kept them somewhere else. Then they escaped and bred like wildfire. This frankly dumb mentality almost caused her to unleash an unstoppable force in Earth's oceans, and was ironically the cause of her death. Sorkin wasn't directly involved in everything that happened in the underwater facility, and thought that the plesiosaur was being housed there, only to find out later that it was some sort of mosasaur, but she didn't know what species exactly. So with the animal trapped and not wanting it to die, does Dr. Sorkin decide to develop some plan to safely get the creature out without putting others in danger? Nope, she hits the release button and boom, the Tylosaurus comes out from the haze, hits the little tower she's in, and causes her to fall into the water, where she's then dragged to her death. Or maybe she just died on the spot. The one death that brought a smile to my face. Before some of you say that it isn't a Mosasaurus, yes it technically is. There are many different species of Mosasaurus. There's Tylosaurus, Prognathodon, and the Mosasaurus itself. This Tylosaurus has to be one of the more unique designs, and pound for pound would be much larger than any of the new gen Mosasaurus if given the same length. At just 4 to 6 feet, this animal is somewhere between 15 and 20 tons, which is huge. Don't get me wrong, it is still very long, but for any normal Tylosaurus, well, the accurate version, that length would equate to half the game's current weight or even less, and you could see why this makes sense. Even the film's current Mosasaurs have much longer tails that aren't that big compared to the body, but this thing's tail is massive and splits out. The main body itself is also wider at party. It's like a big Coke bottle attached to a ruler with flags in it. This body of solid muscle allows the animal to move outrageously fast for its size. The much more muscular and wide tail definitely plays a big part in this. As for the spikes, I don't know what they do. Maybe it's for defense or something, but they look cool. This thing packs some serious strength behind its frame. It shook part of the facility so hard Sorkin fell into the water, broke some foundations, and it demolished some large boulders while chasing the humans near the end of its screen time. Its bite is impressive too, able to bend metal bars like the Giga in Dominion. However, this animal immediately stopped after realizing the human was escaping and went back to chasing her. The last we see of this animal is when it slams into a gate after being locked in the lagoon, barred off from the rest of the world. As to what happens to it after this, well, we don't know. There's no official sources saying what happened after it. It likely died from starvation or possibly broke out, but that's not likely. Who could say? Despite it being wildly inaccurate, this is one of those animals who somehow fit their outrageous appearance, and remains one of my favorite animals related to the Jurassic saga. But while the Tylosaurus was strong, it would be no match for the largest and most powerful predator to ever exist in the franchise. The first marine reptile shown to us is the 2050 Mosasaurus, well, on film, the great white eater herself. This animal had been in development for a while and was held in an aquatic nursery, until it did reach a satisfactory size to be let loose in the lagoon. There is a bunch of things in this animal which makes it Godzilla with fins, to be honest, including the croc DNA for the osteoderms and also not confirmed, likely whale genes. which explains the noises it makes and the ability to communicate with whales. Also, Wu may have cut some things out, including restricting the regulation of this thing's growth hormones, because from different timelines this animal almost doubled in size very quickly. Officially this thing is like 50 feet, which is obviously fake when we compare it to other animals, although it isn't as big as many say. She is between 70 and 80 feet, and compared to the Indominus is around 5 times larger, so between 42 and 48 tons. The size is on par with some of the largest humpbacks, and despite this, she has enough power to somersault back in the lagoon with an 8 to 9 ton dinosaur flailing in her jaws. The fact that she didn't get beached is a feat by itself, and I did not mention this in the previous videos talking about her, but she also didn't break anything after the jump, which is crazy work. Smaller animals can fall from heights that would be 40 to 50 feet if we were in the same size, and usually don't break anything, whereas most people would just kick the bucket if they even tried. And the biggest things get, the more fall damage they take. Well, there are a few exceptions, but most cetaceans and large marine animals in general suffocate or get crushed by their own weight while on land, and this thing was able to crash down on concrete and easily bring itself back into the water. The Indominus wouldn't be our final meal, however, as 6 months later we truly see that crocodile and growth hormone take effect. Most creatures would die after 2 months without food. However, things like crocodiles can survive months and sometimes even a year or more without food by storing fat reserves in their tail, and the mosa likely did the same. But that's not the wildest thing. It's the fact that she almost doubled in weight after just 6 months. She had now gotten so big that she could swallow a small submarine. In terms of length, she is a little over 100 feet if we compare the dude she ate to her skull, and assuming that her skull is like a fifth of her length, it's not looking good. In terms of weight, she was now somewhere between 70 and 85 tons. So food isn't the only thing that affects her growth. This unrestricted growth will usually kill most creatures over such a short period of time, because more energy is required to move such size, but this Mosasaurus negates this apparently. Even after 6 months without food and a little weakened, she caught up to a helicopter, calculated exactly when she had to jump, and snatched the dude on the ladder, a tactic seen in blue trevally and tigerfish with birds. She was now free to do whatever she wants. Unlike the Rebirth Mosasaurus, I don't think she exactly had a tracker. Basically, she could go off the grid whenever she wants, and while she isn't as big as the Statue of Liberty in Fallen Kingdom, seriously guys, she's not more than 300 feet. She does get significantly bigger in just a few years. In the Dominion, this animal is seen attacking a massive crab boat. Boat, not ship. Can't stress that enough. And if we compare her skull now to this 9-foot crab trap, her skull is now whopping 26 to 28 feet long, assuming it equals 18 to 20% of her total length. This is more than half the length of the Spinosaurus, by the way, and even when compared to this poor chap fighting for his life on the boat, he looks much smaller compared to her now than the guy who was on the helicopter. So overall, she is now more than 160 feet long, and while it was mainly her weight and equilibrium that capsized the boat, she still is strong for having the ability to hold onto the trap and just bring the vessel down with her. And speaking of weight, if we compare her to humpback she's next to, she's at least 120 tons, around 140 in the highest ends. The average humpback is around 40 tons with the very largest surpassing 50, but let's be real, these aren't the largest humpback whales ever, and side by side, her size is comparable to a little over 2 or possibly even 3.5. This isn't the best method to find mass because other factors like fat stores and bone density play a role in overall mass, and we don't know how this weight is distributed compared to modern animals today. For all we know, she could possibly weigh over 160 tons based on some of these factors, but regardless, she tripled in size in just a few years. That's much shorter than crocodiles of today. Those massive monsters like Gustav and Lolong are over 50, as a matter of fact, a lot think Gustav is close to 80. So while she does have croc DNA which allows her to grow until she dies basically, it is much faster than her crocodilian brethren. It isn't clear what happens to her after Dominions though. She could be dead and rebirth like the rest of the main animals, but then again she could be alive since crocs can live over 100. Who could really say? In the end, it was likely the very last time we will ever see her in the trilogy. So there you have it folks, all the Mosasaurs in the Jurassic franchise that were shown to us. If there's any more videos like this you'd want to see, make sure to drop it in the comments or join the Discord, which will be in the description. I see people asking for this, it's always going to be in the description guys. But that's all for now folks, I'll see you later.